call him here. On the altar frontal in the parish church, when I was a student in the 70s, was writ large, Magister adest advocate. The Master is at hand and is calling you. The call, it is perceived before the quiet tabernacle as the lamp flickers, the gentle nudge, say yes and all will happen. But then the providence of God uses secondary causes to orientate. We had a novice who was already a young priest who entered our monastery in Italy, having been fulminated just after coming through the front door of the Abbey Church. He heard inside this reaction, "This is my home." He's still in the community. With regard to people as secondary causes, they also can be of capital importance. Sometimes they can be in the way. They can actually obstruct the use of the sacraments and of grace because they're not actually cooperating fully themselves. And therefore listening on a deep level is the charism of the spiritual father and the company of souls. He must not take the place of the Holy Spirit, but accompany that Spirit, and therefore be listening, picking up. I was quite surprised after having gone back to do theology at Bangor, when at the end of the Welsh Mass one Sunday evening, our good priest, who was an Irishman who spoke Welsh, pulled out of his pocket this letter from the Premonstratensians, of whom I had not even thought. He had written to them and presented me to them, wondering whether I might be suitable, and it seemed so surprising that it was to be taken seriously by that very fact. It was not programmed or meant, and it turned out to be correct. He just said quietly in Welsh, "Take it up if you want to." And it was interesting how, because the abbot happened to be in Cardiff filling in that summer, that when I came across him in the parish house where he was, his kindness and goodness was also a human factor which worked along with grace, and something inside said you'd be safe with him. Grace and nature work very much hand in hand in the work of God. And we can attract also by our human warmth, and kindness is better than many evocations program. And then, unfortunately, when things actually went a bit wrong because of the problems they had eventually in the community, that same abbot was still very good because he sent me straight away to Rome. But then what was going to happen when the community was actually in trouble, and of course now it's more or less closed? Well, again, a human intervention was, in a sense, a nudging used by the Holy Spirit. It was dear James Hogg who had then published all my works, but he actually insisted at a distance by letters, go and visit Sant'Antimo. And that word, of course, was the one that would have an effect, only a letter or two. But then something else happened, which was also in the same realm. The quiet power of the pen. A pen, when moved, can move the world, can move history, can move bishops, can move lives and souls for all eternity. And not quite sure what would happen, I did write eventually to Sant'Antimo, to the prior, and this very moving letter, coming from the heart and from prayer, one could tell, was a very powerful moment in time, a kairos, when realizing there is power behind this letter and this man who cares, it would be worth listening to. And the message was this: in a situation like yours, one could go to a bishop and then one would have the parish life, or one would come to a place like this where would have this, and this is what remained with me to this day. The time of life, rhythmed, he was writing in French, by solemn liturgy, qui donne une grande sérénité, which gives a great serenity. And that mode is different. One is bathed among angel wings, always orientated ad majestatem, towards the majesty, fulfilling a role of gratuitous praise to the maximum on earth, and then in the gaps actually overflowing in grace and mercy to others, but always in mode, the outworking of the contemplative life. And it hit me, that is a good way to spend time. And not long after getting there, that same prayer was powerful in sorting things out which could have been very difficult. But I remember the joy when actually he made it known that it would happen. And that old high altar, over which nearly on this very day I celebrated for the first time after ordination, because it was the vigil of all the saints, time stood still and one could feel the power of ancient sacrifice. The liturgy is outside time, and one receives the power from something beyond ourselves, and one is no longer just so-and-so at the altar. One is enveloped in majesty. I wrote these words, seeing the glory that was ahead, because he, with his word, was making things happen. On the rock too high for me to reach, set me on high, in petram inaccessa mihi deducme. O joy! I shall yet hold thee in my hand, upon this ancient stone, where others felt the passing of their God. I shall there stand, where souls have stood before, and angels knelt at veiled mystery. I see the light of Tabor in this night. For this one word of manhood made is weighed with Godhead's might, and in one chrismic sound I have all heard. O Master, of this astral path we tread, I hear the voice that never was by mortals caught, and here my little head I bow to thy great blessing. This day has a ray of touch electric is a scent, and o'er sound the heavy cosmos bent. When cloud of bitter deeds undone, with born commanded his own, and egoist him out. Our shall with my thamor, and keep the heavy mal your dros Rwy'n day are loud. My ting on any blind hour, o Lord, you Lord, and dread and loud, but born these gil shaw, my pen a brunyan shaw and high, wrth weld and hall and agosai, ar nos yn cilio